What's up, y'all? How's it going? Back on the back porch. Back on the back porch. Hope you're all feeling well tonight. 6:20 p.m. Eastern. 6:20 p.m. Eastern, and got the scope set up yet again from our old back porch, checking out our waxing crescent moon tonight. It's been a while. I streamed like 10 days ago. Some of y'all caught it. Hope you're all doing well. I know some of you left me some comments. It's been such a busy season for me, but trying to get back at it. Realize that like we're coming up on this crazy conjunction of planets that I've been wanting to get and show y'all. So we got a beautiful crescent moon. It's getting a little cloudy, but I want to show y'all Venus real quick. And let me know if you can hear me okay. There are so many little steps to get this thing working again. It's kind of crazy. Let's jump in the chat room. Got Fantasy Ecstasy. Good to see you, bro. Marky Rizzo. Haha, caught ya. Jay Pershing. It's been a while. Yes, I've been playing a lot lately, actually, writing some new songs for our space family. Astrolabium. What's up, my friend? How's it going? Robert Gaia. Good to see you. Maxine Van Date. Or Dite. Welcome. Yeah, early, getting dark early. Not too bad actually, because the weather is kind of nice and coming up on some great space views. Renegade, cheers. Howie Dunn, big love. How are you doing? Fantasy, yeah, Z Proxy. I see you there, brother. What's happening? Yeah, there's Jay Pershing says the Great Comet. So there's the comet. There's also like the conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, the Moon, and Venus all coming within. We'll try and get it in a single frame like we did with the Great Conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. So it's kind of, plus there'll be Uranus, and I want to say Neptune will also be in the sky and Mars. So there'll be like 7 planets in the sky. There's like 1221, I think. All right, so in a couple weeks. Miguel, what's happening? Better than NASA, hell yeah. Love it, thank you. Rainbows and Butterflies, hey yeah, how are you? Howie says, new dank tunage, oh hell yeah. I don't have it on this computer tonight, but writing y'all almost 10 new songs, and if you want to see hear some of the demos, they're on the last 2 shows. Shout outs to everybody who left me a comment on the last video. I just realized that it's been 9 days. It's crazy. I saw Kimmy leave me a nice comment. Kimmy, hope you join us tonight. Z Proxy, make a video of Sirius. I promise I'm going to do all that. The technology is only getting better, and I have my sights set on a new camera. It's finally time, I think, to upgrade from the Sony to another Sony, but like to a full frame and better megapixelage. Oh man, I'm coming off a long, stressful, hyped up day, and I wanted to get everything ready, so you can hear a little bit of kind of like a little flustered right now, but I'm gonna relax with y'all. Who we got? Patrick McNellis, what's happening? Holy stars, Batman, I haven't been here for a bit. What's up? Same, I had like 6 months off. I mentioned in the last stream, but like I had some family stuff to kind of readjust to, and that took a lot of my time along with work. So I kind of checked out of the space for a bit and put away all the gear. And setting up is like such a big deal. So like I finally have both setups, the 11 and the 8, ready for the winter season. And yeah. But everything needs updating. It's crazy. Like cameras need updating, OBS needs updating, my software, the headphones need updating. It's a bunch of work. I'm ready to tackle it. Cool. So before Venus sets, I want to get us some shots of that. It's been really like a long time since I've gotten a waxing crescent, but also a long time since we've seen Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter. So we're going to do that tonight. Again, let me know if you're getting that 4K viz. And if you're hearing me okay, and if the music needs to be turned up, or if you have any requests. Tonight, there's no live tunes, but definitely over the next couple of weeks, we'll do a live show and play some of your favorites. Let's get in here with some instrumentals to start us off, and I'm going to go check out the Venus for us, and we'll get back to the moon. know, this shot of Venus is absolutely amazing. I was not expecting it to be, well, I should have expected it to be a crescent, but it's a little, like a tiny little version of our moon tonight. And so there's a lot of clarity, but you can see there's some aberration, kind of doubling, echoing going on. That's due to the clouds and due to the fact that really Venus creates a ton of lens effects because of its brightness. But I'm happy with this shot. We got it right before it's setting, so let's stay here with Venus. What I believe is still an electric comet of sorts. Definitely a little less deadly than it used to be a few thousand years ago, but you know what I'm talking about. Shout outs to everyone else coming in. Shockwave, great to see you, brother. Ryan and NC, much love. Good to see you. Patrick McNellis, golden for a request. Absolutely, we'll definitely get that going. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to mess with the focus too much. It was sharp, so pretty sure it's just due to the kind of humidity, the clouds, probably some lens effects due to the fact that Venus is so bright, and I'm kind of pushing the ISO right now. Shockwave says, does not display as a comet, but acts as a comet still to this day, and it still has a huge tail. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. It's definitely a little less active than what we study in the electric universe ideas, concepts, history, wherever you stand on that. But for me, it's pretty obvious if you look at all the details around Venus that it is highly electrical in nature. It is a youthful object, a younger body in our solar system, and there are a lot of good reasons to suspect that it was active in the last 10,000 years. It also has a scarified surface. Electric scarification is something I've talked about a bunch on this channel. Y'all have seen it. We'll take a look at the moon again, but I just want to drill this this concept home over the next few months. We'll talk about it again, but it's just one of those things that for me, it just seems so obvious that this is the direction of inquiry in terms of lunar geology, in terms of an evolution in astronomy, astrophysics, a new cosmology for the intellect. And not everybody's going to get it. Many more don't care. But for those that do, I think it's an exciting time. What's happening, Charlie Silverman? Good to see you. Yeah, so Shockwave is saying Venus, the primordial comet. Yeah, so there are a few different stories. I mean, obviously, we're trying to take some writings from the era from a few thousand years ago and kind of reinterpret those in terms of an astronomical record versus mythological record. And so if we imagine that comets are these electrical objects in our skies, they come close and move far away from Earth and each other and planets and stars. And as comets approach another electric body in space, which is Earth or the moon or the sun for that matter, there is this kind of electric discharge that happens between the two objects. And so there are a lot of good reasons to suspect that Venus is this kind of primordial Genesis type anthropomorphized planet or comet in our skies, due to the fact that there are all these references to this comet, this object in our sky that had swirling kind of filamentary hair coming off of it. The fact that, whether or not there was a polar alignment of planets, that Venus itself is this anomalistic type object that has all these factors that allow us to kind of start thinking about things from an electrical vantage point. And when I say electric, it means that there's this interaction between the body and the space around it. And these types of electrical discharges look like filamentary threads or wisps of smoke or lines of current coming off these objects, manifesting or resonating between the two objects. And I feel that if we start looking at it from that vantage point, then Venus can be a great starting point to kind of put all these puzzle pieces together in terms of like what is our cosmology? What is it? What is a reinterpretation of cosmology without ad hoc ideas that are, you know, for example, when you ask a teacher, you know, what is mythology? Who were the gods? How did they come up with the gods? Who came up with the gods? There's almost this, oh, well, it was very, you know, a long time ago and we don't really know and sort of took the record from here and it's reinterpreted. And there's very, you know, it just becomes this very imaginary, very unscientific thought experiment. But if you just apply this idea that Venus is an electric discharging, you know, porous, potentially rocky body that is creating, you know, threads of energy seeping into space and moving and reacting with other bodies around it, gives more life to the idea that we live in a solar system of light, of life, of interaction. It's not a dead, orphaned solar system. So, just getting my bearing tonight. But yeah, definitely Shockwave has some great ideas, great thoughts about Venus. And of course, Thunderbolts Project talks about Venus as Ishtar or Inanna. And there are tons of mythological symbolic references to the planet Venus or the comet Venus. You know, and stories come out that are potentially that comets affect life on Earth in ways like, you know, plagues or illnesses or psychosis. And that to me makes a lot of sense. If consciousness is electric and space objects come near Earth and create different types of electrical discharges or resonances in our atmosphere and our ionosphere, which houses and contains Earth's consciousness, then yes, it would make sense that comets affect human beings on a very base level. Australis, what's happening? How are you? Let's see. Rockstar, good to see you. How are you? All right, cool. I got myself a little smoke here. I feel like I've done 2 lines of something, which I haven't, but I feel really, really pumped right now. And I was listening to a ton of lectures today on, you know, quantum field theory and contemporary, you know, the stuff on the Webb telescope. And it is crazy how either intentionally hidden this information is, or that people just don't try and even think about it from that vantage point in terms of the electric universe, or in terms of plasma physics, in terms of, you know, reconciling special relativity with quantum mechanics, which is actually really doable. And yet we have this kind of still this physics has really gotten lost, and astronomy too, and people really are either disconnected completely and don't care about it, and the people in the field who are working on it are doing it kind of purely for the money at this point, because the science is not yielding any new discoveries. There's a lot of good ways to make it sound seductive, but when you're not doing science, the scientists really, I mean, the independent scientists really want to get some answers, I guess. Japan Diary, hi there, good to see you. Welcome. Who else we got? All right, so right now I got Venus on screen if you're just joining, but because there's some haze and fog and camera effects, not intentional camera effects, but lens flare effects, you're getting these kind of echoing reverberations of Venus left and right of the image. But it's still pretty remarkable that Venus is this large, 1, and 2, that we're seeing this crescent, which is almost like a mirror of the crescent that we're seeing on the moon. It's not exactly the same, but this looks a little bit more than the moon right now. The moon's about, I want to say 20 some odd percent. So let me check out what's going on. I'll play a song here while I go and see where Jupiter and Saturn, they're following us tonight. So maybe some of you saw the incredible shot last night of the crescent moon and Venus kind of riding it from the top. Just an amazing view last night, but it got cloudy and set very quickly, so didn't get a chance to stream for y'all. I shouldn't question the so-called science. The world went mad while I was away. No, I've been here the whole time, but I needed a break, you know, let it digest and take care of some stuff. What's happening, Jedi Knight 888? Welcome. I mean, the scientists, even if trust or no trust, they end up really just doing it because they have to do it for the funding. They continue to do it. If you solved stuff, you really wouldn't get funding for these so-called hard problems. But man, I mean, what was I'll talk about it in a second, but let me play a song here. I want to talk about these couple of people. It's Eric Weinstein on the Lex Friedman podcast, and Brian Greene, and who else? Garrett Lisi. And these guys who are trying to create a unified model of the universe. And while they kind of imply that there's geometry behind it, which is, you know, where I come from, it is so convoluted and rife with math that you can't really get your head around what they're really talking about. And I think that kind of I know stuff that you don't makes it really difficult to listen to these guys. But I've been trying just so I have a little bit of a sense of like where we are in things. But it's still crazy. Ellie Win, what's happening? Greetings from the city. Debbie Carson, how's it going? Welcome. And what's up, Wingsley, if you're with Ellie? Cool. I mean, Eric Weinstein's brilliant, no doubt. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, the E8, the E5, what is it? They're just these different extremely complex models. And I think if we had Buddy in here from our old chats, he would show that that really it's the same shape over and over and over again that kind of superimposes and then creates these much more higher order complex shapes that I think Eric Weinstein is really referring to. But I think fundamentally we have our donut and our hourglass, our coaxial electric filament down the center. The shapes that I've drawn across the moon and through many, many streams, to me, seems like a much more fundamental shape to get behind. And because just basically a bubble universe, small bubbles, large bubbles, all connected in sequence, creating boundary layers because of natural intrinsic geometry. These highly complex fractal orders like Garrett Lisi's model, for example, these things are beautiful mathematically, but it's so hard to get your head around as an average person. And that to me is not really the essence of science. Science is there to help people comprehend the world. All right. So we'll get some more Venus tomorrow. I don't want to hog the Venus. I don't want to hog inundate the stream with Venus tonight, even though it's spectacular. But definitely want to catch some Jupiter and Saturn while we're here. So let me get let me see if I got some of these tracks pulled up. I'm kind of stumbling because I got so much to say, but we'll get through it. Let's do Game of Life. I can't find Golden right now, but I will before the night's through. Let's go 6:41 p.m. and we're going to head over to the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn. Be right back.
Else but you.
So that's a little bit of moon. Unfortunately, it's getting cloudy right over it right now. But I see Jupiter is still clear, so I'm going to switch over to Jupes. Beautiful moon tonight, though. Seeing Mare Crisium, Mare Fecunditatis, and a few other regions, but I'll do another stream in the next few nights, maybe one tomorrow, or maybe one on Friday. And yeah, we'll get to see a lot of these craters. I mean, a big part of what I think really stands out is that geology shows order. And I mean order like triangles, diamonds, hexagons, symmetrical lines. It looks like it's an organic creature outline. And when you can see it, pictures of Earth, but really here we can see the moon from a distance, and we see hexagons everywhere. And for me, that's one of the hugest things that is just either completely ignored on purpose, or people don't even think to look or think about what they're even talking about. And I'm even, I don't want to throw Thunderbolts Project under the bus, because they actually, showed me the way, but they even say some of the craters are hexagonal. I actually think every single crater on the moon is some form of a hexagon. Now, granted, there are hexagons that have been eroded, there are dodecas, there are octahedrons, there are pentagons, but there are almost no round craters at all on the moon. And using the term round or circular craters is an absolute misnomer. And I don't know how it just goes by day after day. Look at astronomy stuff, every single channel besides mine. Sorry. Ego in the way. I'll get rid of my ego. But I mean, for me, it's just this obvious thing. A big one here, right? If we just look at the middle portion, that's Mare Crisium. Just take a screenshot and then draw lines around Mare Crisium, and you'll see that it's like a giant hexagon. And then above it, Cleomedes, I think, a smaller hexagon, chains of hexagons. Then look at your coffee when you're doing a pour over coffee, or bubbles in a sink when you're washing your dishes. You'll see that bubbles form in the same formation that we see the craters on the moon. It's just a one-to-one. You can create exactly the same type of chain craters, large and small craters, bubbles at the rims of other larger bubbles. Almost the entire surface of the moon is replicable using very simple means, a very simple experiment of either doing a pour over coffee. That to me is one of the best, because it'll form the bubbles and it'll also create the boundary layers between them, but you can also pop the bubbles on a pour over, and you almost see the residual outlines of these craters almost identical to the moon. So I recommend y'all go do that if you haven't seen it. Or just look at bubbles in a sink, and they'll create these kind of large and small, and where the bubbles meet, it becomes flat. It becomes like a boundary layer. And this is because intrinsically the geometry wants to find the strongest form in nature. And first it's a sphere, and then when spheres interact, they create these hexagonal, three-dimensional hexagonal shapes. Now we see them in 2 dimensions because we're looking at the surface of the body from a distance, but there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this is the one key component here. If you look at your eyes in the mirror, you'll see that we are similarly fractally symmetrical to these shapes. With our eyes are 2 hexagons side by side. The nose, your jaw. Look at yourself in the mirror and you'll see the chains of craters, you'll see bubbles. And then if you look at quantum theory and special relativity, you'll see these same shapes recursively throughout. The complex shapes that math seems to want to prove are essentially these shapes overlapping one another, because at every single oscillation in the universe, this shape emerges, which is the donut and the hourglass, the hypertrochoid and the torus. Mary quite well. I see you in the chat. Great to see you. So happy that we got the old crew and some new crew here tonight. That's really awesome. I missed this. Peter Battle, I see you up there. Where have I been? Let me switch over to Jupiter. I'll talk a little bit more. So very quickly, for those of you who didn't hear the couple of streams I did 2 weeks ago, just had a family thing. Mom's old. Mom got sick and Mom moved to Florida. So I have a lot more time spent with her than I have time for kind of doing extracurricular stuff, or at least the last 6 to 10 months have been like that. But I think she's doing a little bit better and routine has settled, so you know how much I love doing space stuff, so I'm back doing a few shows as I can. And I know that y'all understand how much I dig this, but I've also done so many streams and we've talked about every concept in the book and we've played so many songs together that I feel pretty satisfied with this channel in general. It's an archive of just wonderful moments shared with all of y'all, and it has been revelatory for me scientifically and musically. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going with this. This month we're gonna have like an amazing conjunction of planets. It's the one that I was talking about last year, and I absolutely I've been so distracted this year that I completely forgot that this. I was looking today at Stellarium and I'm like, holy shit, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, and the Moon all close up, all close together. This is the great conjunction, right? I mean, so a couple of weeks we'll do this stream. We'll check it out. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? Morgan Ellis. Family first, yes, just no choice in the matter. Sensei Camillo, great to see you. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, take back bubbles, exactly. So yeah, so Mama's now in Florida, which is cool. So I'm traveling all over the place and trying to be a good caregiver. And yeah, I got some work finished for me this year. It's almost finished, so I get to take a little bit of time to myself. And so I've been writing some music and kind of getting all the gear out of the closet and setting up for these streams, which is not easy actually. I realize when you put everything away, it's such a deal to get everything together. But not complaining because it's a unique, rare thing to be able to do this. Justin Me, what's happening? Still remember your PFP. NGC 6543, how you doing? Sorry. Great to see you. Everything's blending, it's like that dark theme on YouTube. It's so impossible to decipher everybody. White text on black. It's just sorry, I'm not going to turn this into a complainy stream. Much love to all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me as always. It's 6:52 p.m. Eastern, Central Florida, coming at you with a 4K stream talking about the electric universe, plasma physics, consciousness outside the body, the torus and the hourglass, the simple shape, the fundamental shapes of our reality, from consciousness being outside the body and being stored in fractals to the surface of the planets, kind of showing us matter-of-factly what is going on instead of this kind of imaginary scientific propaganda that we live in right now. Now, I understand why it exists, but some of you want to know what's behind the curtain. And for me, this is so important because it's really fundamental. If you can look, the moon's back, which is gorgeous, and you can see Mare Crisium, the large mare, or sea, that's visible right along the terminator right in the center, is a hexagon. And I think that really begs some discussion, about, just in general, forget the moon alone, it would be really a huge scientific article. All the mare on the moon are hexagonal. It's a headline of headlines. You don't need to make any ad hoc shit up. Cognition Design, what's happening? Thank you. Would I ever do a solar stream, or do I need a special filter? Sensei, I've done the sun. It's just been a few years since I've done it. The last one was the solar eclipse in 2017. It's just such a deal to get the filter on the front, and in the heat, the camera doesn't do well. So I just kind of don't do it. But yeah, if you just type in sun or check my playlist, you can see the solar eclipse. I got Mercury transiting the sun a few years back, and did some H alpha stuff. It's all on the Nexstar 8 with the front filter. But I'm actually really, my not whole life, but my whole astronomy life, I've been keen on getting one of those Lunt is it Lunt or Luntz? I'm totally forgetting. It's one of the, it's a like dedicated solar scope with a potassium K filter and a calcium, no, so calcium and potassium filters that allow you to really see all the sunspots and facula. And I want to do a stream like that for sure. It's in the future. Yeah, so Luna's looking amazing. Let me play some music here and continue our journey so we can see some Jupes and Saturn. It's been a while since we've seen our lovely planets. That's a little operator. I'm digging that song with y'all. Thanks for all the kind words about the music, always. So I got Saturn in view, looking amazing tonight. Kronos, potentially one of our old suns, but really more so that we have the ability to see Saturn. That is the fundamental understanding for me, the first revelation. The second revelation, of course, we can talk about orbital mechanics, we can talk about field mechanics, we can talk about historical references, but more so than anything I try and push on this channel is that like the fundamental idea that we can even see planets at all is extraordinary. You don't need aliens, you don't need NASA, you don't need anything. Just the fact that we can see this at all is profound. Just saying what's up to Rastaman Lives, how you doing? And let me know if I missed anybody popping in. I think I got it. I think I got you all. But yeah, so I don't have all the titles set up right now. I mean, actually, I'm going to be a little bit lazy tonight. I'll set them up for next time. But we got Saturn, the largest moon, Titan, is to the right of it. It's not the far one. The two stars on the right, three stars on the right are part of a different constellation. But the bright star right next to Saturn in the middle, that's Titan. And then around it, you got Dione, Rhea, Tethys, Iapetus, and if, maybe 50 more moons or so. I'm not remembering exactly how many moons Saturn has. It might be upwards of 100. But the ones that we can see are the main ones right there. Let's zoom in a little bit and see if we can see a little bit better. and I'll play y'all a classic, because now everybody's in the house. All right, all right. Okay, let me know if the volume, let's see, is that the volume? Oh, that's my headphone volume. Let's see what volume thing this is. Yeah, so I want to make sure I'm clear and coming through. Yeah, let's see. So, I'll talk for a second and let me know if this is a little bit better. I'll just speak closer to the mic. I can't see the volume right now. Amazing. I feel like I'm being a little spazzy with it, but also we got to check it out when the getting's good. So here we got Jupiter in view. This is all with the 8-inch and a focal reducer, so it's kind of a wide shot. So the zoom is not super hot, but we can get everything in one frame. So if you're wondering, I can actually zoom in. I think I might, so we can get some more detail on Jupiter. Shout outs to everybody new showing up tonight. I see a couple of people. I see JC, what's going on? And Rum Vorax, great to see you. And Scarecrow Strawman, what's happening? Welcome, everybody. Mary, I took a look at the scope you put in Chan. So I'm looking at it on Amazon, and it seems to be like around $400. And I actually have this exact scope. It's a little bit broken, but somebody gave this to me as a gift once, and I gotta say, I feel like even though it kind of comes with a bundle and that it's in the $400 to $500 range, I would probably say that the Celestron 4-inch would be a better bet. Let me check that right here. Celestron Nexstar 4. Yeah, so I guess it's closer to $900, but I wonder if you couldn't get a used one, because I feel like the Nexstar, the tube and the arm mount are one of those things that is like kind of best bang for your buck type situation. I feel like any scope in the $500 range is like more trouble than the cost benefits of it. Does that make sense? All right. Oh, Howie. Right. I forgot that that was your other moniker. A 2020 calendar sounds cool. Debbie Moonpie. Finally saw what those were all about. And they are delicious, but touch sweet for my taste, but you know, once in a while. Oh, it's $139 at Costco. Jeez. Okay, so I don't know. It's one of those things, because like setting up the mount is one of you want it to be as easy as possible. So I wonder, but at that cost, at like that price, it's really a steal. And it has the phone mount with it. So yeah, I would say like the Celestron doesn't really make bad scopes. So if that's in your price range, I would say go for it if that's your first scope, or maybe an upgrade from a smaller scope. Obviously, you know, definitely do your research, and I'm not sure about Costco, but I'm pretty sure you could return it if you didn't like it, or gift it to someone. But yeah. But if your budget is any higher, I would probably say go for the 4 or 6-inch Celestron Nexstar. It's one of those crazy good deals, even though it's a little bit expensive. All right, I have a lot to talk about, but I do want to do some astronomy. Let's get into let me see what our moons are tonight. Of course, we got our 4 Galilean moons of Jupiter. Pulling up Stellarium. I would bet, I'm just going to guess, and then we'll check if I'm right, that top left is Callisto, Io, Ganymede, and Europa. But let's see if I'm right or wrong. I feel like Callisto is always hanging out. Callisto, I was right, top left. Then next is Ganymede, so not Io. So Callisto, Ganymede, and then to the right is Io, and then Europa. And the star is just a star. Star is just a star. That very bright one to the right. So let's zoom in on Jupiter. Play a tune here. I'm trying to catch my breath. I feel like I haven't done this in a while. I'm a little out of shape here. not really, but sort of. Lungs get a real workout, like laying on the ground trying to get the scope working on a set of stairs. I forgot like how complicated it was. All right, Golden coming up here, an earlier request. And then, like I said, I've been writing a lot of brand new songs, and I'm excited to share them with y'all. Also, please tell me if my voice is loud enough. It's probably loud enough right now. Now I see it peaking, but let me know if this is good.
Don't sweep the streets no more.
Y'all, this is a pretty monumental shot of Jupiter, if I may say. If I may say. That's a little golden. One of the old faves. I love that song too. It's really just a moment when I first started doing TakeBackSpace. So, yeah, so it is absolutely insanely nice shot of Jupiter on the 8. A lot of clarity, a lot of color, no red spot. You can even see Ganymede right there to the left. The tracking is a tiny bit wobbly tonight. I mean, I tried to do 2-star alignment, but it gets a little funny when you do double zoom. But yeah, this is the 8-inch with just the Sony a6 V zoomed in twice. So no Barlow lens or anything like that. Yeah, pretty crazy. You don't see it. Actually, it seems kind of quiet on Jupiter, right? It feels a little bit like we're not seeing a lot of swirly jammies like laminar flow, fractal swirls, like we kind of did a little, at our last Jupiter conjunction with Saturn. What was it, almost a year ago now? So what's happened in the chat room? Thanks for all the kind comments about Golden. Crispy Jupes. Oh yeah. Jupiter, Jove. It's really, really crazy because what I'm thinking is that if we're getting these kind of views, this is not just tonight. It's probably going to be every night. So I'd love to see what the red storm or red spot is looking like with this kind of clarity. Very excited to see that. Cool. So let's continue with the oldies here. Do Prism Dagger, also one of my old faves. A little bit more of a languid kind of jam. I know it's 7:20 p.m. But yeah, this will get us vibing hard. And then I'm going to stay here for a little bit. And then I want to check out the moon before it sets. Venus is already gone for tonight. And Saturn was kind of fading behind the clouds. But we should probably see what Saturn looks like with the focal reducer removed. All right, let me know what you think in the chat, or if you have any other song requests. Here comes Prism Dagger. Oh, hey Vicky, great to see you. I'll pause this for a moment. Say hi to Vicky. I'm glad you made it. Going a little bit longer tonight, but super happy to see you and all of y'all. And sharing this incredible shot of Jupiter. I'm just like kind of astounded by it. I don't want to move away from it, but I bet Saturn's also looking pretty good. So, all right, back to the song. Let's keep going here.
You heard, I believe it
Right on. All right, back to Saturn over here, because I know we want to see everything kind of equally. I do, at least. So I'm getting all spazzy on it. But gosh, Saturn. So this is the 8, no focal reducer with 2x zoom. And I'm just going to leave it at this resolution because it's really sharp right now. Even on the 8, you can see the middle white band of Saturn, separation, outer ring. It's pretty magnificent. Again, the profundity of being able to see Saturn at all is the baseline of all of this. Much love, Copper Tropicals. Great to see you in the chat. OG of the OGs. Anybody else join in that I missed? Thanks for all the kind comments about the music. I got another one coming up, a fave. I know you can guess it. You can feel it coming through right now. Let's go.
Beaten from the heart, I know, no lie. I've been thinking about you all night. Why? No why. I've been waiting for your white light. No why. Oh, I've been thinking that you should be mine. So call me up, and let's get down, down. So call me up, and let's get down. Oh, you send me messages across the cosmic network, and you Je t'attends, mon amour incestuel, ainsi la même que la même semaine, agitant la éternelle, avec pendant son oublié. Je suis la même que ton avant-même chaque jour. Je t'attends, mon amour, avec les mecs sans agréver. Et c'est mon âme magnétique, c'est l'amour magnétique, c'est mon amour magnifique.
All right. Let's chat a little bit about the moon. Just a tiny, tiny bit about the moon. So yeah, looking really nice. Starting to get to, about 20 degrees where you see the fringing happening on the bottom left where it gets orange. That's because it's starting to get close to the horizon. We have another 30 minutes at least with her. And I wanted to talk about Mare Crisium right here, the Sea of Crises. This is like one of the best views you can possibly get. It's the correct phase because the terminator line is right here to the top left of it. I know I have dry mouth. I gotta go get some water. I gotta talk about this moon, but let me play y'all a song here. I need a drink too. How about Eurydice? I found it. Here we go. Here's an old track, a fun one, kind of in the same, like, strolling through the forest kind of vibe. But of course, the story really is that Orpheus really didn't need to turn around. He just needed to have faith that Eurydice would follow him out of Hades. But it's funny because I actually knew a girl when I was a child, and her name was Eurydice. Of all the people that I've met in my life, like I remembered that one girl when I was like, 10 years old. Eurydice, as they say in French. So so I wrote a song 20 odd years later, or more, 30 years later, kind of mirroring both stories and the cyclical nature of no need, basically not to have any regrets, and also have faith in your determination. Now granted, the fallacy of Orpheus in turning around and not trusting that Eurydice would follow him is really almost a necessity of life, right? This is the great death, the great questioning of our mortality, It was very tempting to look back. Anyway, enough of me blathering on. Let's play the song. And I'm going to get a drink here, but really just pay attention to Mare Crisium, which is in view. You got Pierce and Picard are the two little craterlets, the little eyes. And you can kind of see this arcing wave pattern at the top left corner that looks like a fishtail. And this is, a sinusoidal segment of a sinusoidal wave. You see so many striations, you see hexagonal shapes, you see fractal shorelines, and it's just right here for us. So be right back. Let's do this.
twilight are gone. Your welfare's and just with life fools, just with all the cool chicks. Their minds circulating towards their bullets. Something out of that wild separation. Sin wild sleeping out right up in the walls. It's a big television. Look at the wall, it's a pump. Get it good, get it good, get it good, get it good, get it. Take the islands, the night is on. Find its way until the hot dog's done. It's fine, finger wine, until the time, until the twilight are gone. You're well, so fight, it's just with love and cool chicks. And I'm on it, like everyone wants to influence. I'm feeling real wild, till well, sit why real wide, still well, till it's get it good, 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 get it good. Syncopated television, suffering artifacts, separation information, slithering down the tracks. Syncopated television, coherent integration.
Alright, just going to do a little bit of sketching here. And bear with me, this paint program is not aligning exactly right. But I think you can see it very clearly. For me, I'm going to lower this music for a moment. That was Syncopated Television, Eurydice from Calling My Mind album. So yeah, I'll try and do my best with the sketching. I mean, I could probably just zoom out and it would be fine, right? But let's see it up close for a moment. The point that I'm trying to make here is that there's an idea that lunar craters and lunar mare are circular. And very simply, they're not. I know that sounds very pedestrian, but that's the kind of theory here. Or it's not a theory, it's an observation, really. It's just something that most people don't look at or think about. But the fact that it looks this way is a huge deal. It's a huge deal for science, because not only does it show the fundamental geometry and symmetry, right? This is 1/2 of the toroidal shape. It's 1/2 of an apple. Where these craterlets, Pierce and Picard, appear are where seeds would appear in an apple. If I were to follow it, which is my Sea of Tranquility over here, Mare Crisium over here, it's two side-by-side hexagons that are somewhat asymmetrical due to the push and pull of the gravitational field. Alright, just getting warmed up here. It's like so many things going on, trying to not get flustered. Hold on. I think let me just zoom out so I can sketch on top of it without the moon drifting away. That's probably the best bet here. There's a bear with me. Yeah. Why didn't I think of this before? And then you can even see the kind of chain pattern that reminds me so much of molecule chains. Sorry, I don't mean to ignore the chat room. Let's see, the crab has a mustache. Exactly. Don't understand why more people can't see it. Mind blown. Is it a blue blood? Scarecrow. Let me know what you mean by that. I'm not sure. Is what a blue blood. What else? Did I miss anything? All right, yeah. So let's keep it vibey here, but yeah, this is the idea. So Mare Crisium, hexagon, very clear, really big deal. Is that simple enough? Like, I'm sure I've called out some other channels in the past, and I typically don't want to throw shade, but just like so many channels that talk about astronomy don't even consider talking about this. It's not even that they don't talk about this specific thing or this specific image that I'm showing you right here or why it's important. They just ignore it entirely. Just absolutely entirely ignore the fact that the lunar surface, which is extremely visible by many, many, many people, so it's science that can be corroborated by the masses. With under $500, you can get a really good view of the moon, or less. You can see it with your naked eye. You can prove that that's what, the phase of the moon, the brightness of it, where it is in the sky. There's a lot of corroboration. It's one of the really fundamental pillars of science. The sun and the moon are these just, I don't want to say freakish anomalies. They're so natural, but inherently kind of godlike to a degree, dare I say. So to me, just this idea that, right, we're looking at Mare Crisium. This is a perfect example of hexagonal formations on the moon. This is akin to what Andrew, from Thunderbolts, man, I cannot believe, I literally had his name and completely forgot it as soon as I was going to say it. But Andrew, brilliant scientist, talking about stratification. Andrew Hall? No. Is it Andrew Hall? Let me check it. Let me check this. Let me not talk out my ass. YouTube, Thunderbolts. It's Andy Hall, right? Sorry, I'll just completely... Anyway, you tell me in the chat, maybe. I can't find it right now, but... Anyway, I think it's Andrew Hall talking about how electric scarification created the features that we see on Earth. You see hexagonal formations, you see diamond formations, you see stack stratification, you see rocks that look like they were carved, right? You don't see the evidence for this kind of billions of years of erosion sort of gently forming these extremely precise laser-cut shapes on Earth and the Moon and Mars and comets and asteroids, etc. So there's a fundamental disagreement between, or I have a fundamental issue, right? Remind me later. I have a fundamental issue with almost every single astronomy channel and every video that comes out that doesn't ever consider talking about lunar geology in terms of the history of Earth, the history of the solar system, plasma physics, special relativity, fractal geometry and math, quantum field mechanics. We can test everything on the moon. It's this incredible representation of a planet that's right here in our so-called backyard, and yet it's talked about like, oh, been there, done that. Moon, been there, done that. People perk up when. Sorry if I blew out the speaker. Yeah, Andrew Hall came to me, shockwave shit. I was like, Andrew Hall just sounded like like a rock and roll celebrity. I was like, am I mixing this up? And then I realized it's Andy. It's Andrew. See, now I'm mixing it up with the Police. Is it Andy Sumner? Andy Summers, and who knows? I'm completely mixing the two, but. Yeah, fundamental issue with the fact that people treat the moon as a whatever, been there, done that. And the fact that not only do they treat it like that, but then you have this type of science that you can do, which I'm showing you right here, illustrated perfectly with very simple gear. Doesn't take a lot of money to get this view. And you can see that major features on the moon look hexagonally carved into the surface. And what's up with that? And then furthermore, let me sketch a little bit more on top of it. I'll show you this kind of chain of craters like Cleomedes and the rest of them. But all of these, elongated hexagon. Some of them are more eroded, some of them have different number of sides, but really primitive geometry emerges when you have a sphere, a very poorly drawn sphere, and another poorly drawn sphere that resonate in the ether, and they finally touch, and right here it creates the hypotrochoid. It creates hexagons side by side, and this is not only why we have lunar geology, Earth geology, but this is the inertial plane. These are the field mechanics. It looks like an apple. It looks where this is why human eyeballs grow here. This is why it looks like the bridge of the nose, and then the nose appears here. And essentially, human beings and all creatures are grown along filaments. And along filaments, you have nodes, Z-pinches. And these Z-pinches oscillate into the ether, and they create layers of plasma. I'm going very deep very quickly, but this is the premise that I'm going to talk about a lot. But the fundamental geometry is there in lunar geology if you just take 2 minutes to recognize it. It's unbelievable to me that every single astronomy channel just completely ignores the profundity, I love that word, of this thing. I mean, I don't think I discuss, like, I won't take credit for this. I'm just taking, I won't even take credit for whatever. The point is, I just found this, right? There are other people who have done this work before. Brian J. Ford, Ralph Jurgens, Thunderbolts Project points it out. Andrew Hall points it out. Michael Steinbacher, who sadly died. Was it Steinbeck or Steinbacher? He was talking about this stuff. So does what's his name? Well, they've all talked about it on the Thunderbolts Project, this idea that electric geology is a thing. It's a really important thing, and it really changes how we look at the age of Earth, the resonance of Earth, all sorts of things. The cat face, right? All right, let me get some music back on. I feel like I'm yelling into the mic. Let me read some chat comments here. I get flustered because, man, it is like I watch some of these astronomy channel updates where they're like, new dark matter found, black holes, blah, blah, blah. Aren't we going to see the exoplanets soon? Habitable Earth, going to Mars. And I'm like, wait, we got a moon. Like, we got a moon to look at. Like, you all done with the moon now? Like, you just done with it? Nobody wants to look at it? Nobody cares? I think it's so ridiculous, like, especially because you could say that, oh yeah, 30, 50 years ago, look, we had enough of the moon, been there, done that. But the technology for, like, amateur astronomy wasn't there. Like, it's only the last 5 years that you can get this kind of quality at your home to look at the planets and engage with space. It's a completely different story. And the fact that the moon especially is treated like a mythological creature or mythological story, I guess that could be an oxymoron, but treated as mythology, you know, is really just, talk about baffling. Scientists baffled. Amateur astronomer baffled at scientists. Baffled by scientists' bewilderment. Let's see. Sensei Camilla says, have I ever thought about talking about this at an astronomy convention? It's crazy how it's not talked about. I mean, I think about it a lot, right? But there's so much stigma. There's a funny anecdote that Alan Watts tells about how, like, philosophy teachers talk about anything but philosophy when they hang out. You know, it's considered de rigueur to, like, even talk about your achievements or to one-up. You know, it's a constant game of one-upsmanship, but it's frowned upon to take yourself too seriously. But I think that's so crazy because, like, when you look at people like Rupert Sheldrake, Eileen McCusick, Halton Arp, Don Scott, Wal Thornhill, Stephen Crothers, Professor Pierre-Marie Robitaille. On and on our peers in the electric universe discussion. Even David D. Hilster, too, does that kind of, dissident streams. And it's great. Like, he's thinking. People are thinking and talking about it. It's great. But the moon, it's so simple. Like, tell me why we don't have a national holiday for the moon, like a national moon day where people gather and we talk about the landings and we talk about like all the missions to the moon and everybody. I mean, we have National Pancake Day, we have Earth Day. Where's Moon Day? I want Moon Day. I mean, of course, we have one every week, and every stream is a moon night, moon day. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like it's considered so like, oh yeah, let's just not address the moon. Oh, that's fancy, that's nice. Or we get in here and it's a group of us, under 50 people usually, under 30 people most of the time, and we understand how profound it is to be able to connect with the moon and the planets. So yeah, a big part of it is doing that at the base level, and then beyond that is then looking at all this geometry that just shows itself completely. So this chain of craters, or mare and then craters, like I was showing, go do a pour over coffee by yourself or with a friend, or do bubbles in a sink, create like a set of bubbles, and take a look at them, and you'll see these patterns emerge intrinsically in nature. And think about how the idea that the moon was bombarded by asteroids and meteorites, thousands and hundreds of thousands of meteorites, and then came up with this geometry doesn't make, well, I don't want to say doesn't make sense, but makes much less sense than if the surface was boiled and carved by electrical scarification, which creates the same features on the moon, asteroids, comets, Earth, the human body, molecules of sugar, even words like that. The hexagon is a G and a C, like that's also a molecule. It's also a bee honeycomb. It's the bridge of it's the shape of the eye. It's a two-dimensional representation of a cube. This type of very, very unique, specific geometry with corners denotes organization. And that's just a completely different story than, random meteoric showers coming in from space, hitting the moon at all sorts of different angles, and then coming up with this extremely precise rendering. It just makes so much less sense than like huge electrical arcs were moving across the surface of the moon, boiling the surface like a bubbling surface that created these very specific shapes and crater chains. Makes way more sense to me. All right, let's do some tunes here. The moon's getting a little hazy.
Feel what you feel.
Roll in here for another 10 minutes or so. I gotta get some dinner. It's been a fun show.
This is what you seek. Love what you know. You got to learn how not to fall. Better believe it. Better believe it. Want to tell you all. Think what you want, but I can listen to the news. Better believe me. Better believe me. Soon we cannot lose. Oh, bleed how we bleed. You got to know just when to
so I think I'm gonna end the stream on some jupes right here. Getting that time for dinner. This is a good, fun one. Super big energy burst. Been feeling like talking about this stuff for a while. I'll end on talking a little bit about consciousness and how memory is stored outside the body. And I'll just direct you to Eileen McCusick, The Human Biofield, and Rupert Sheldrake. And just watch some of their videos and how they talk about the human energy field, about telepathy, about how we have these layers of information around the human body. And it makes a lot more sense than if your memories were stored inside your brain. So the brain and the eyes and the senses tap into your own field, and your field is constantly picking up resonances, little oscillators, if you imagine little fractal oscillators of information that carry all the information for moments. So time, space, matter. The way we remember things are in these tightly bound toroidal knots. We don't see them. They're invisible to the naked eye, but when you have hallucinations or when you trip out, some people report seeing hexagonal, nested hexagons, golden hexagons, lines and fractals. This is really the space we live in, is filled with this toroidal vortexial mechanics of storing information. It's cloud storage, human cloud storage, and then planet cloud storage. So if you imagine right here, Jupiter at the center has cloud storage around it, these giant diffuse plasma fields, sheaths rather, each layer like an onion skin, holding the information of a certain moment in time. And Jupiter emits a plasma field or creates a plasma thin layer as it interacts with previous layers. The same way an apple starts really small and ends up with tough skin on the outside and flesh in the middle. So the innermost layer ends up being the outermost layer. And this is, I think, how consciousness, memory is stored. Consciousness is simply, actually, see, that's a bad habit of trying to say it's just this. No, in fact, consciousness is an emergent property, I guess, of the oscillator meeting the ether. So the oscillator resonates in the ether, creates a thin plasma layer of these knotted toroidal plasma shapes. Rupert Sheldrake talks about it kind of abstractly, kind of in detail. Eileen McCusick talks about it in terms of these kind of pinches and knots. She really talks about it in such a direct and natural way that I got to say, I'm not taking credit, just talking about merging these two people's ideas. And then if you apply the principle of the geometry behind it, the stuff that Ken Wheeler talks about, these hexagonal shapes, the torus, the hourglass, these shapes actually inform, and not only that, they back up this kind of idea. So anyway, Jupiter right here has a field, and the moons are within Jupiter's field. So thereby they are resonating within Jupiter's field. And in a way, Jupiter's field is so large, it's memory, so to speak. So Jupiter's birth is a very, very thin plasma layer that is that is closer to Earth than you might imagine. That's kind of the idea here. And then Jupiter's time right now is a very thin plasma layer right next to Jupiter. Same way, a human body resonates and oscillates as 7 chakras, as 7 oscillators along a Birkeland filament. We create a thin layer of plasma around the body, and that stores all the information for that one moment in time. And then you interact with that layer, and it creates the next layer, pushing the other layer out. And this is how we create our lives. This is answers the big problem of how consciousness works. It answers where memories are stored. It answers how people can feel each other or sense each other. It answers how optics and focus works. Focus works by sending out a sensory impulse to your field, and wherever that toroidal knot is located, that's where the wavefront coalesces to a point of focus. In order for you to sympathetically resonate with that that fractal knot. And those knots are really oscillators because are really oscillators themselves because they're resonating and pulsing. Some are strong memories and some are weaker memories. All right, I feel like I'm not breathing through this because I'm trying to keep the mic close and not frantically pant while I talk about this stuff. But there's so much information here. Let me know what you think. Don't fear the ether. Seasons don't fear the ether. I'll do that cover one day. Actually, they'll probably take down my channel if I play it. They probably will take my down just for singing that poorly. Hey, thanks, Ellie Wynn. So great to see you. All right, y'all. Lee Morgan, I see you up there. What's going on? All right, so anyway, check out Rupert Sheldrake, Eileen McCusick. Check out Don Scott and Walt Thornhill, Thunderbolts, and all the great people trying to do some work in this crazy, 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 crazy world. I'll see y'all tomorrow, perhaps. If not, then maybe Friday. Hope you all have a great rest of your night. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I know I was kind of hyped up tonight. Still feel it. But it's okay. You gotta forgive yourself for everything. Let's go out on something different tonight. Let's do Harmony Wave. Thanks, everybody. Leave a nice comment. I will check them all. I kind of have this plan in mind to go back through all the old comments that I missed. I feel like such a terrible YouTuber. But you know I appreciate you guys because I just spend the time here when I do the show, and it's sincere. So, much love to all of you. Have a great rest of your night. Catch you all very soon. We close out with Jupiter. Till next time, fam.
Treasure.